We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Welcome back to 755 Forever. I'm David O'Brien, Braves writer at The Athletic, with my co-host, former Braves reliever Eric O'Flaherty. What's happening there?
What's up?
Well, that trip, and especially that Dodger series, did not go as I thought it would go. But you know what? I should have been we thought they're due to break out of this offensive funk, and it just got extended in L.A. And I tell you what, the Dodgers are really good. All their pitchers pitch really well. The bullpen guys pitch well. And that lineup with Shohei added, Mookie, Shohei, Freddie is it's a pretty formidable.
Yeah, I heard an announcer say Hall of Fame row when he was referring to it. Like the other team was pitching and the Dodgers 9-hole hitter was up, and he's like, "You got to get him here. You got Hall of Fame row coming up." And I think that's a pretty good, way to look at it. Those guys are all studs.
And they got some other guys down in the order that, they platoon some and all that. And a lot of those guys got pop, man. A lot of them, like Teoscar Hernandez and this rookie from Cuba, the Braves couldn't get out the first couple of games. Pages, it's spelled like pages, but it's Pages. He was a stud the first couple of games. Glasnow, if he just stays healthy, that's a big if. But my God, right now, he's the Spencer Strider of this season right now.
Yeah.
65 Ks in 50 innings, 50 innings, leading strikeouts in innings. Next high strikeouts like 53. 6 wins already. Yeah, he was dominant.
Yeah, they have a really good team. The thing about their offense too is I feel like it's a collective approach. You play these teams that it's like one guy really works the count and the next guy after a walk comes up, swings first pitch and hits into a double play. They all seem to be on the same page and working the counts and having tough at bats, and they can all do damage. It's a really good lineup. They
all do work counts, and they really kind of exploited Bryce Elder. We've talked about how good his location has to be when you're throwing 90. You can't miss over the plate, and when he did, they just destroyed him. He gave a couple home runs on pitches right over the middle, 92 miles an hour, or if that. He walked 4. He can't do that. And he walked in front of home runs, It's
kind of like in those starts, I felt the same way as a reliever, if I got called into a game in eighth inning or something like that, and we're down 8-0, but you have to face like the 2, 3, 4, and they're all slugging right-handers that love hitting off lefties. It's kind of like those are the games you just fight for your life, and see if you can minimize the damage and get through them. And that's kind of what he has to do in those starts, because that's a really tough lineup. And then you got to have your good ones against other teams.
And he's facing Glasnow. That was just a total mismatch. Not to belittle Bryce, but that was on paper it was a mismatch, and that's exactly what it turned out to be. He went 3 1/3, gave up 7 hits, 7 runs, 4 walks, 3 home runs. He gave up the homer to Muncy. After a leadoff walk to Will Smith in the second inning, how many times have we seen leadoff walks kill guys, especially lesser pitchers? Gives up a leadoff walk. Max Muncy comes up, 0-1 slider. Didn't look like it was that bad a pitch. It was on the outside corner, but, it's not doing a whole lot. And Muncy crushed it, 4-12. He walked another and gave up a hit in that inning and got out without further damage. But then in the next inning, he gives up a leadoff homer on the first pitch to Pages on an 88.5 mile per hour fastball. I mean, those guys have got to be going, give us more of those, because they don't see many of those, especially over the plate. Not at the bottom of the zone. So he gives up the leadoff homer to him, then walks the next guy, James Outman, the 8-hole hitter. Two batters later, walks Betts, and then gives up an Ohtani double, RBI double. That's it for him. Dylan Lee comes in with 2 in scoring position and gives up consecutive RBI singles. That's what Bryce said he felt worst about, was laying, he put it hanging D. Lee out to dry, and also Jackson Stevens in effect, because he's as he pointed out, Jackson Stevens got there at 6 p.m. for 6:10 start, and he was thrust into the game after starting the day in AAA and flying cross country. I think he had a connecting flight, so he didn't get there until right before the game. And he gets thrust in to the 7th inning, and he came in with 2 in scoring position and gives up a after Matzik only get recorded 2 outs, gave up 2 hits, right? Leaves the game, gave up a run. Matzik does not look like himself. I mean, we can talk about him in a minute, but Matzik gets out of there, and Jackson Stevens comes in, and it's 2 outs, and he induces. Did you see the pop fly he gets to shallow right? Would have got out of that inning. Ozzie goes back, catches it. It looked like, but it bounced out of his glove. Initially ruled an error. Then they changed it after the fact to a hit. So there was 2 more runs that went on Matzik's ERA, and he cannot afford to have 2 more runs added to his ERA, which is 9.90 now. And in his 8 of his last 11, it's like 14-something. I mean, he's getting crushed. He's getting over 400 batting average allowed, over 1,000 OPS.
That first year back's tough. I think recovery is probably like the hardest thing. You know, you have good days and bad days. Your number gets called on the bad day. You know, those are numbers you see. It'd be nice, if Strider was healthy and they were getting more days off, but it is what it is.
Problem with Matzik, as Snit pointed out, is Snit goes, it's hard to get your velo back and get your command when you're pitching basically once a week. And he goes, but that's when they've been using him because the other guys are doing better. And Snit actually said that. But one of those other guys that's been doing better is no longer in there. And I think losing Pierce Johnson if it's just elbow inflammation and all he thinks all he's not going to need is the 2 weeks. It wouldn't even probably need that much, but he's had a pretty serious thing before, forearm thing that kept him out most of the season in 2022. And he goes, this is nothing like that. He goes, I can tell, this is just soreness. He was sore after his last appearance. He said he was perfectly fine till then. And he was a little sore, and it didn't go away. The Braves tried to stay away from him for a few days. Since it wasn't getting better, so they put him on the IL to let it calm down. So if that's all it is, it's 15 days, no big deal. It's a long season, and they're trying to keep these guys fresh. No MRI scheduled yet. But Snit goes, hopefully that's all it is. Because we've seen this before. In the 2 more days, it's not going away, and they get an MRI, and all of a sudden you got something. So, but right now they're saying that they're hoping that they think that's all it is, and they've got enough guys to cover. Where a guy knows better than to try to pitch through this and make it become a lingering thing.
Yeah, I mean, it might be one of those things too that you wouldn't even hear about if you didn't get a couple short starts or guys flying in and having to pitch. Sometimes you're able to keep this stuff quiet and not have it come out. And it seems like they tried that, give them a few days to let it calm down. But I mean, stuff with like your flexor, that can get flared up and completely go away after like 3 or 4 days of rest. But if you can't afford to give a guy, but they do have the 2 off days this week. So
yeah, they got one Monday, 2 days, 2 games against Boston, then another one.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, this stuff pops up.
But he's not going to miss a lot of games either because of that. So then they got another off day coming back. So we have a new segment and a new sponsor, Gerber and Holder, attorneys who only represent injured workers, sponsoring this injury report, by the way. Just like these Braves, if you've been hurt on the job, go to www.gerberholderlaw.com. That's gerberholderlaw.com, Gerber, holder.com. And Pierce Johnson, they obviously cannot afford to lose him because I wrote something about him, and it's kind of misleading. You look at his ERA, it's like 3-something. But he gave up 3 of his 4 runs in that one game against the Mets. You throw that one out, and this guy's been as dominant just about as any reliever in baseball. He has been outstanding. So I asked him we talked about the curveball. You know, he's throwing a curveball this year. I looked it up on yesterday after he got hurt. I knew it was really high. 79% of his pitches this year have been curveballs, which he's been up to like 64, I think, in the past. But this is the most he's ever thrown it. And he's got a good fastball too, 95 point average velo, good movement. And I asked him about that. He goes, sometimes it's 50-50. It depends on what my heater's like that day. Might be more with a heater, but it depends on who we're facing, how I feel that day with my heater. But anyway, he goes, but seriously, I've had nothing this year before this. So in other words, he knew I was getting at.
Yeah, is it the curveball?
Putting a little more torque on your elbow, and he completely dismissed that or tried to refute that or whatever. But what else is he going to do? But I mean, he knows a lot better than I do if that puts some more stress on his elbow, and I don't think he's going to do it. Keep throwing it as much if it does. So, but you just got to wonder that can't the curveball put more?
Yeah, I mean, you don't even let kids throw breaking balls until a certain age. I think it's how you grip it too, how tight you're squeezing it. There's a lot of different factors to it, but yeah, I mean, Strider started throwing a curveball, and I get that that's a concern, but it's not like, I don't know that 65% versus 80, if it's that different, then he's been doing it his whole career. He's been living on that pitch.
And also, I didn't look at the breakdown last year between Colorado and when Atlanta got him, but he might have been higher with the Braves because his curveball wasn't breaking.
Actually broke. Yeah.
So it started to get the same movement when he came to Atlanta. And it's a tremendous curveball, obviously. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why he would. I was talking to AJ afterwards, and AJ said, yeah, he throws it like 90% of the time, doesn't he? I go, well, not that high, but close. And he goes, I wish I had one pitch that I could throw, and the guys knew I was going to throw it, and they still couldn't hit it.
Yeah.
It's like Mario Rivera with a cutter.
Yeah, and I think you get into a point, too, where it's almost easier to throw that and control that pitch when you use it that much. My first year in the big leagues, I was throwing the Joe Jima, and he loved my slider, and he would just put 3 down every single pitch. And I'd have to shake the fastball. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at the numbers. I don't know what it was, but it felt like I threw a slider 60% of the time. And it got to the point where I threw so many that if I was in a 2-0 count and I needed a strike, I could almost play the fade and I knew where to start my slider versus the fastball was almost foreign. Like when I needed a strikeout or something, I could throw a high fastball. If I was in like a 2-0 or 3-0 count, and it was a lefty, I could throw that fastball away. But if I was facing a righty and had to make a pitch, I felt better where I started my slider, dropping it in the zone, and then where I started it to finish them.
I was looking at the Matzik numbers, man. After those 2 runs were added, earned runs, 14 hits, 11 earned runs in 6 2/3 innings over his last 8 appearances. That's a 14.85 ERA. With Pierce Johnson, those numbers to be exact on how dominant this guy's been, he has a 3.00 ERA and a 1.250 whip, right? 13 appearances. 3 of the 4 runs, like I said, a lot came in April 8th against the Mets. He only got 2 outs that game. His other 12 games, 0.79 ERA, 7 hits, 1 run allowed in 11 1/3 innings. Since that Mets game, his last 6 1/3, all scoreless innings in 7 appearances, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk, and a 136 opponent's average his last 7 games. That's why he was so frustrated. He goes, because I've been pitching great at the end of April, and then all of a sudden this.
Yeah, you never get hurt when you're struggling. You know what I mean? Like, when you just feel terrible and you're off, it's like you'd be lying and feel bad if you're chumping out if you go to the trainers and say something hurts. It doesn't, but it always happens when you're on a roll.
Mentor, I'm sure, is going to probably have to pick up a little bit more of the load. They were getting away from him, using him quite as much as they have. He still leads the team in appearances, but Pierce was right behind him. Mentor pitched in today's game, gave up Shohei's second home run. Shohei, man, the first one, they were both crushed. I mean, and then the one he hit last night, he hit 3 in 2 days, and the one he hit last night off Matzik was destroyed.
I was more impressed with the one he hit off of Fried. That curveball inside, hitting it to center field.
Yeah.
Like there's only a handful of players in the game strong enough to do that. With, I mean, barely any extension, but the way he clears his body out of the way and gets his barrel to that thing. Those are pop-ups so often. The one that gets crushed is the one that goes middle away at the belt, not the one that hangs, up and in.
It was up and in.
Yep. And if it does get crushed, it gets crushed down the line. They pull it down the right field line and keep it fair. But to stay inside that thing. And it's funny because Fried threw him one right before that, and I was like, ooh, he doesn't like the curveball. And then he went dead center. Like that guy's just, he's one of a kind.
Yeah, asked Max about it because his first inning has been killed him this year. His first inning ERA is close to 15, or it is 15. And then at least before he gave up the second home, or before he gave up the Teoscar Hernandez home run in 6th inning today, his other innings, his ERA was outstanding. Most of his damage had been in the first, and all 3 of his home runs had come in the first inning until Teoscar Hernandez hit that one, also on the curveball, the one to Teoscar. Fried said, he goes, I hung a couple of good hitters hit him. I think he said, I was aggressive. I was on the attack. I just might not have executed him as well as I should have. But, he was really kind of upset about the first inning thing because the first 2 games skewed that because he got, he didn't make it out of the first inning in Philly.
Yeah.
And then the next one he gave up a bunch of runs, then settled in. But he'd been much better in the game since then until today as he gives up. And that's Shohei, So I don't know.
I don't even know if
I don't think
that
it's a
counts.
big deal. Yeah, the first 2 games skewed all that.
Whether you're a world-class athlete or a podcaster, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. That's why I'm excited that Unified Healing is sponsoring this episode of 755 Forever. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. If you haven't heard of the EE System yet, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifiedhealing.com/forever to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/forever. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE System.
We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Chris Harris here with a Mississippi Braves update. AA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. The Braves are off to an 8-17 start, 6 games out of first place in the Southern League South Division. Despite the slow start, there are many positives to take from the first month of the season. No surprise, but pitching has been fantastic, especially out of the bullpen, which ranks second in the Southern League with a 2.85 earned run average. A familiar name to Braves fans, Hayden Harris, who received an invite to big league camp, has 16 strikeouts to only 3 walks in his first 7 outings, posting a 1.00 earned run average. Patrick Halligan, who got an invite to the Arizona Fall League last year, has 18 strikeouts to just 2 walks in his first 11 innings and 7 outings, plus a 0.82 earned run average. In the starting rotation, which features a couple of top 30 prospects, which includes Ian Mejia, Luis De Avila, 2023 Southern League postseason All-Star, and of course, Hurston Waldrop, Atlanta's number 2 overall prospect and first-round pick in 2023. Waldrop had a shaky first outing, but has responded nicely, being stretched out to a full workload on pitches. The right-hander, who features a fastball, slider, and nasty splitter, got his first professional win on May 2nd and has a 1.04 earned run average over his last 3 starts. Offensively, the Braves have been one of the most dangerous teams on the bases in minor league baseball. Through 25 games, the club has a Double-A, most 53 steals, with Justin Dean and Cody Milligan leading the way with 11. And Geraldo Quintero adding 10. Atlanta's top position player prospect is Nacho Alvarez Jr. He's showcased great defense so far at shortstop and has had the longest on-base streak so far for an Braves player, 13 games from April 13th through May 1st. The 21-year-old has showcased great patience at the plate, ranking 8th in the Southern League with a .389 on-base percentage, and is tied for second with 15 walks. The next Mississippi Braves homestand is May 14th through 19th against the Biloxi Shuckers, the Milwaukee Brewers affiliate at Trustmark Park. Make your way to Mississippi for the 20th year at Trustmark Park and the final Braves season in Pearl. Grab your tickets and more info at MississippiBraves.com.
They come into Dodger Stadium and they get swept, and it wasn't the pitching. I mean, the pitching was obviously Bryce had a bad start. But the other games, like Fried today, 7 innings, 4 runs. The Braves, when they're clicking, that's nothing.
That's a win, yeah.
That's nothing. So, but the offense has this funk has gone. What's so weird is they started out the season just like they were last year, a house of fire. They were leading in every statistical category. Average, all the slash categories, average OBP slugging. They were leading in homers. They were leading in or doubles, not homers. They were leading in everything, basically. And then 2 weeks in, these last couple of weeks, the last 13 games I went back, they've scored 3 runs or fewer in 6 of their last 8. And stats, MLB Stats has a thing, last 15 days, last 15 days. And the last 15, well, obviously the 3 big ones. Acuña finally showed some signs in this Dodger series. He loves hitting here. And he showed some signs coming out of this. He had his first 3-hit game of the year. He had a 2-hit game. So, and the strikeouts way down after being huge. He had 5 straight multi-strikeout games before this series. So he really showed some signs here. Austin Riley had been hitting some balls really hard and getting nothing to show for it. He had a long homer here, 449 a couple nights ago, 449. So he looked showing some signs. Matt Olson struggling. He hit 2 today, one to right field. I thought he had it in the first inning.
Yeah.
And it was caught at the front of the warning track. And then the other one, he hit a line drive to left, really crushed it, but it went foul by quite a bit. But that was well struck too. So you can look at those as good signs. But man, the numbers are getting ugly. I mean, he has not homered since April 7th. And Austin Riley had not homered since April 7th before he hit that one too.
Those 2 guys do that though. I mean, I feel like
not a month though, God.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we've had this conversation before, and they always seem to come out of it. But Acuña is the one that's kind of surprising, for him to go this long without looking like himself. But I also think, it's Acuña kind of sets the tone. When he gets hot, it takes the pressure off everybody.
And it puts the pressure on the opposing pitcher when he's on base all the time, and the guy has to worry about him hitting a home run to start the game. I just think he makes the guys really uneasy when he's going like he was last year, and he hasn't been this year. So the Braves have got, let's see, they got outscored 20-6 and out-homered 9-3 in this 3-game series. Marcell Ozuna hit another home run today, but it was in the 7th inning after they were down 4-0. It was a solo shot. They slipped to 2.5 behind the Phillies after the Phillies won the Sunday night game. 2.5 is the furthest they've been back since September 23rd, 2022, when they were 2.5 behind the Mets. 3 homers on the 6-game trip to Seattle. None in Seattle. So they had 3 homers
surprising.
on the 6-game trip. And this is a team, remember, that tied the single-season record last year, 307 homers. They're tied for 18th in the majors right now with 32 homers in 32 games. That's 15 fewer than the Dodgers have. The Dodgers have played 4 more games, so they have 47. They lead the National League. They don't even lead the majors, though. The Orioles, the Oakland A's have been crushing balls lately.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. The A's have 23 homers in the last 15 days. I looked at that stat, that 15-day stat. They've got, in the past 15 days, the Braves are dead last, 30th out of 30 teams, with 7 homers in 13 games in those 15 days. Tied for 27th in runs scored in that stretch, 42. And they had a couple of games at the first part of that with some runs. So it's been worse lately. Olson hasn't homered since April 7th. Austin Riley and Acuña both homered Friday. That was Austin Riley's first since April 7th. Acuña's second of the season.
Yeah.
After hitting 41 last year. They've got 1/3 as many homers.
So he's on pace for 12.
Last 15 days, they've got seven homers. The Dodgers also played 13 games in that stretch, have 21 homers. They had 5 against the Braves last Saturday night.
Yeah, they were smoking the ball.
Braves are still 4th in OPS, which tells you how hot they were to start the season because they're still 4th in the majors in OPS at 742. That's despite the last 15 days, they have a 579 OPS. That's 3rd lowest in baseball. That's how hot they were early on. So, anyway, Snit, Olson, Snit said, we're an offensive club, a slug team. We haven't been doing that, but we will. He said, you go through these, and that's why we play 6 months. It's a grind. You come out of it, and there's going to be good stuff on the other side. Olson said it's tough to struggle like he is. He goes, look, man, you don't want to hit under 200, but that's where we're at. You just got to keep, head down, keep going. He went 2 for 18 on the trip. He's hitting 197, 3 homers, 16 RBIs, and a 676 OPS in 32 games. After leading the majors with 54 homers last year and 139 RBIs.
Yeah, it just takes special people to be able to get through this because I'm sure it feels like he's never going to find it, never going to get a hit again. And it's why you repeatedly get all the cliches and people saying, I'm not worried about it. It's a long season. And you say all that stuff because you have to say it to yourself and you have to believe it. The guys that ride up and down every single day and, you go 0 for 4, you drive home from the field all pissed off. Those are the guys that never really put careers together. But I think it's really encouraging to have seen Matt and Austin both get into pretty bad slumps and pull out every time, and every time that you get out of something like this, you believe it more and more when you say it.
And that's the thing is we're talking about how these long slump they're in. But if you look at their track records in the last, Austin Riley, the last 3 full seasons, he's been as consistent as any power hitter in baseball. Matt Olson now has done it for like 5 or 6 years, has put up these steady numbers. So it would be a really, really rare if he, kept slumping and didn't end up hitting 270 with 30 to 40 home runs and over 100 RBIs. And I think that's where he'll end up. It just doesn't feel like it right now. But if you're watching him, you can see where it looks like he's only a click away. It's not like he's up there just taking huge swings and missing the ball. Or
getting blown up inside or swinging at shit in the dirt.
Or hitting routine fly balls, 300 feet. That's not what he's doing. So,
right.
And Austin's been scorching balls too. So Acuña has not been himself, but like I said, he really showed something on this series in LA. In this series, because what had really concerned me about Acuña was the strikeout totals, which was so unlike him. After last year, reducing that by more than 50%, cutting it in half to go up so high this year was what was really strange. And that's where you start to worry about if is he hurt, is there something wrong with, not his vision or anything. They test that. So, but just when you start to worry about the strikeouts, 5 straight multi-strikeout games, he comes in here and he looked a lot more like himself here. He scores that home run ball. And that was on a pitch up here, top of the zone.
Good to see him get on top of that. I think, there's the World Series hangover. Probably a little bit of an MVP hangover too. It's like he beat the game last year. The season he put together, I don't know if you'll ever see again, but I kind of got into a point. I don't know if you remember 2011, I had like a dream season. And then 2012 through like about this time, I had a 7 ERA. And you
had the sub 1 ERA.
Yeah. And it was like, there just wasn't that fire. And any time in the game when you lose that fire burning in your stomach to just be the best, and every game's kind of the World Series to you. When you lose that, it's almost like, I don't care how talented you are, it's hard to play in the big leagues. And then you look up and it's like, shit, I'm May 2nd or May 5th and I have 1 home run, 2 home runs. It's you got a big hole to dig yourself out of. But that season, I'm more proud of 2012 than I am of 2011, because 2012 I had a 7-something ERA in May and finished the year with like a 1.7. So it was like that for me is so much harder to do than just play out your dream season and just when everything's going your way, just keep playing. To turn it around and put the work in and battle through that's way more difficult.
I don't think he's the type that would ever say that if it were the case. But
No.
I think you're onto something. I really do. I think the heights that he reached last year, and then have the postseason in like it did. But then people ask if he's tired from winter ball. I don't think he's tired from winter ball because he only played less than a month. He stopped in early January. I think he's tired mentally from all the shit that went with being MVP. All the they used to call it a rubber chicken circuit in college football or whatever, where you go and get all the awards and banquets. And he went to all those, because he was kind of obligated to. I mean, it was not like people asked him to go to those, and he doesn't want to look like an arrogant prick and not go to them, and receive these awards. So he came to the Braves Fan Fest too. I mean, they could have given him that off, but he's the top draw. He came to that. He went to the Vegas Awards thing, the Players' Choice Awards. He was the star there. He went to the BBW thing in New York. He was the star there. I mean, he went to a couple others too, I think, and he did more ads than he's ever had. They filmed those in the off season. So he gets to spring training. Who knows how much ball he played when he stopped playing winter ball. He might have been better off just playing winter ball instead of doing all the other stuff. But he gets to spring training, starts playing, and the knees, it gets irritated. Probably because he stopped playing, working out as much for a month, and then picked it up. You know how you ramp up so much, you guys do at the start of spring training. So it's just inflammation, but he misses like more than 2 weeks of games. So he missed a lot of at-bats. And then when he came back, they eased him back in. He didn't get a lot of ABs when he came back. So I think he might have been starting kind of at a deficit when it comes to that and just mental, like you said. And I think once he gets rolling, like you said, he looks up and sees what he's doing. Okay, there's some urgency now. And once he gets locked in, I think we're probably going to see the regular Acuña because I don't think he's hurt. If he was, he'd be showing it. I mean, the other day he got picked off at second, and he kind of stood there on his knee, and people thought he was tweaked it. But I think that was kind of more embarrassment, of being. He got caught off second base, pitch coming, and when he reached back with his leg, it got kind of stuck in the grass. The spike got stuck or in the dirt. So he kind of just stood there for a second because he knew he wasn't going to get back. There's no reason to scramble at that point. So it looked like he hurt his knee, but he stayed in the game, and he was, the rest of the game he was fine. He said he was fine afterwards. So I think he's playing healthy. I just think it's the other stuff we talked about.
Yeah, and you look at it now, and it's like, all right, well, I guess I'm not going 50-50 this year. I think he thrives on the chase. Having a chance to go 40-40 and then look at it and says 40-70, that's a reason to come to the park every day. But you go to the playoffs, you've experienced the excitement of the playoffs, and now it's April 12th. Or April 28th, and you're playing whoever you're playing. It's really, I felt that was like the hardest challenge when I started getting later into my career, was finding that excitement about it, because it seems like the same story plays out every season. You know what you have to do. And I was less and less excited to do all my bullshit prep and everything I had to do to be ready for a game. And you always have to find that, because if you don't have it, you get eaten alive.
And look what happens when it comes into the biggest series so far of the year, the most exciting series.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, they started in Philly, so it's kind of hard. That's just unusual. You're starting, the first series of the season. It doesn't have that same. This is high time to build up the hype. Shohei, the place that was 45,000, they were booing him like crazy because of last year and the antics, the stuff that he was going to do. So after he hit the home run and did his whole thing, and the boos were so loud here. And that gets him hyped up, man. He loves that stuff. And I think he loves coming in here because what he did last year, he came in here when he got married that first morning. They hits a grand slam for his 30th home run of the year to become 33rd, the first guy to 30, what was it at the time? That was 30-40? Yeah, 40, and or 30-50 at the time. And then he had 4 homers in that series, I think. And the Braves won it, and it was basically him carrying them to it. So, and he took the MVP away from Mookie and Freddie in that series and went and never slowed down after that. So this time they're coming in with Shohei and all that, and I think he got hyped up for it, and you saw much more closer to the regular Acuña. Locked in, he's not striking out. I don't think it's coincidence.
Yeah, it's funny too, because when Latin players come over and perform well in the playoffs, everybody, asks them how they stay calm or just what their mindset is, and they're like, this is nothing compared to at home. And I know that it's smaller stadiums, but the fans' energy at those games they play, and I just think he thrives off of that.
Yeah, that's why he loves winter ball. He loves that excitement. Because look, he was just in Seattle, good crowds, good team and all that, but nothing like this was.
Yeah.
And look at the difference in him there.
Yep.
He's had three more multi-strikeout games. And he comes here, nothing like that.
Look at Juan Soto in pinstripes versus in San Diego.
Yeah.
It's just a different, those guys thrive off of it. They love it. They love the pressure. And I mean, it's a good trait to have.
So we'll see. He's coming home. He'll have some momentum. They play 2 against the Red Sox, a good Red Sox team. Then they go 3 in New York. And I think that they'll be fired up for him there. Weekend series. The Mets are playing okay. They'll have some good crowds for the weekend against the Braves for sure. So we'll see. We'll see. I have a feeling this is going to be kind of a springboard for him to get a lot more normal real soon. So if you got him getting back to normal, that'll change. Like you said, he sets the tone. Austin Riley looks a lot closer to it. And I just don't think Olson's far from clicking. To give some people hope about Olson, a year ago, 32 games into the season, he was hitting .244. He did have 9 homers, 26 RBIs, because he had a ton of doubles early. He was driving in some runs. Acuña was on base all the time when he hit. But he was hitting .244 with an .892 OPS after 32 games. Then his average, people forget this, his average slipped to .227 with an .833 OPS after 67 games. He was hitting .227 after 67 games, right? So the rest of the season, 95 games. He hit .323, 36 homers, 94 RBIs, and an 1108 OPS in the last 95 games of the season.
That's my favorite quote that a lot of older players would say when I came into the game was water finds its level. And it's just all about you don't get caught up in right now. You just put the work in, trust your ability. You look at your history. You've put the numbers up before. You've been in these slumps before. And at the end of the year, you look up and all these guys, maybe it's a little bit of a down year. Maybe it's a huge year for them, but they're pretty close to their numbers most of the time.
Yeah, no doubt. And him and Riley, they're like machines with the numbers they produce year after year.
With everyone fighting for attention, how can your business stand out and connect with customers? Easy, with Constant Contact. Constant Contact's award-winning marketplace platform has helped millions of small businesses stand out, stay top of mind, and see big results fast. It's okay if you don't know much about marketing. Constant Contact's writing assistant tools and automation features help you craft messaging and say the right things at the right time. I used this to help write and send my email newsletters, and you should too. So get going and start growing your business today with a free trial at ConstantContact.com. Just go to ConstantContact.com right now. Constant Contact, helping the small stand tall. ConstantContact.com.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
And Freed, for anybody interested, that first inning ERA now 16.20 after the Ohtani homer. It was 1.40 for all the other innings this season because he got blown up in that first game, didn't make it out of the first inning, basically. And the second one, he settled in after a bad first inning. So we'll see. He wasn't bad today. I mean, gives up, it wasn't great by his standards, but 4 runs against that team in 7 innings, that's not bad. If the Braves are scoring like usual, they win that game 6-5,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Snit said it best, is they're an offensive team. They're a slug team. And when I think we talked about it, I don't know, a few weeks ago, but it's like, this is what has to happen to hold this offense. You have to have 3 really, really good players not being themselves. And then you got to have Murphy hurt. You got to have just to face some really good pitching to hold them down too. They didn't face bad pitching on this trip.
Yeah. Oh, they faced good pitching in both places. Yeah. And then before that, they had faced the Cleveland pitching. So it's been 3 straight series of good pitching. And
really not friendly hitters parks. Ball goes nowhere, either one of them, except LA maybe in a day game.
It didn't carry today. I tell you what. It did when Shohei hit it.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe the balls are fine when he hit that one to left center.
Yeah, he's different. Oh, by the way, Max in the state of California, because he's from here, Santa Monica, he had been, before this game, 9 career starts in the state of California, 7-1 with a 1.67 ERA. How about that?
Pretty damn good.
And just the last thing I wanted to point out was it gets overlooked, but the Braves led the majors in fewest errors before today. And they hadn't made an error in like 8 games before Olson made that error today, which I think was kind of frustration, probably 8th inning after he gets thrown out trying to turn a single into a double. That ball carried him right off the wall to the outfielder. I mean, they had to do perfect like that. But that was their first error in over a week. But the defense that Orlando Arcia is playing at shortstop, I mean, it was good last year. It was okay. It was good. He's playing Gold Glove caliber defense at shortstop this year.
So smooth.
That play he turned today, when he fielded the ball, he goes to his left, fields the ball while he's sliding on his knee, and does this spin on his knee, back flicks the ball with the glove, never touched it with his hand, flicks the ball with the glove right to Ozzie for the force at second. Perfect throw with his glove while he's spinning. I'm like, there's hardly anybody in the majors that can make that play.
This is an extension of his hand at this point.
He is slick, man. And then I looked up his numbers, and it's supported. And I didn't realize how good the numbers were. The metrics are way up from last year. He's better defensively right now, analytically, metrics, than Dansby.
Yeah, I've been noticing it. I've almost every game I feel like he does something where I'm like, that wasn't a very easy play, and he made it look pretty easy. You know, that was a tough play, and he made it look easy. And the arm is so much better than Dansby's, man. He's got a cannon.
I mean, Dansby a lot better range, but for this year. But Arcia is getting the balls this year, like the one today, that he didn't get to before. And then his arm is so good, and he's so slick just with the hands and the feet around the base. And that's a lot of those Latin shortstops, middle infielders are like that, and that's what he's around the bag. He's really slick. So that's impressive, man. They got their shortstop, and he's making $2 million a year. All-star starter, and I really think he'll be a contender for the Gold Glove. I mean, if he keeps
a lot of these deals have worked out pretty nice.
Yeah. So Ozzie's defense and second, not quite there. But you know, the left side of the infield, Austin Riley also made a tremendous play during this series defensively. Great throw.
So I feel like he's been underrated for years.
Yeah. So. Not a good trip for the Bravos, no doubt about that. They're in a slump, offensive slump, no doubt, but it's gone on for a while now, and you got to think they're going to break out soon. Pitching, I didn't think was terrible. As long as they don't lose Pierce for any kind of extended period, the bullpen should be fine. But you do lose something with him, no doubt. It's going to be more of a load on Jimenez and AJ, and obviously Iglesias will be closing, but. You had 3 really good closers, or 3 really good setup guys with Pierce in there. Now you got 2.
Yeah, they need Maxick to find it.
Yeah, they need Maxick to find it, but he looks like a long ways from that right now. He's going to have to take on more of a load now, and we'll see. Snit didn't think he'd be able to improve when he's pitching once a week. Well, they're going to have to use him more now.
Yeah, that might be good for him though too.
It's a tough spot, man. I mean,
it's the worst spot in the pen. It's the worst spot in the pen. Is you only get to pitch in the shitty games.
Jesse can handle that at his point of his career, but even he came in and gave up runs. But Matzik's out of options. So if he had an option, you send him to AAA and let him work and get regular work. You can pitch him whenever you want to down there. You don't have to worry about the situation. Just pitch him. He's out of options. So even if he agreed to be sent down, Braves couldn't do it because somebody else would claim him in a heartbeat. But this is where the old phantom injury, if they want to, I think if he's he might look at it as, hey, if I can go down and pitch, 2 or 3 times a week for a couple of 3 weeks, it might be the best thing for me. So I could see him agreeing to, do that. I don't know, not accusing them of anything, but this happens. That's
all the
the
time.
only way you can send him down, though. I mean, that's the only way you could do that to get him regular work. Unless you're going to use him now in these games, now that because you need somebody to step up and.
I think he thrives on big situations too, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I always felt like it was so much easier to pitch bases loaded in Philly in the 7th inning than it was to go to that old Miami stadium up 5. Like, I'm giving up 5.
Pro player.
That place, you got 4,000 fans in the stands. You can hear everything everybody's saying. That those games sucked. So I like the packed houses, the big situation where I can't fail because then it's not about me. When you come into a 6, 7, 8, 9 run game, the only thing to focus on is getting right. It's like the pressure's a distraction from all your bullshit you're doing.
Well, we'll see. I mean, they're going to have to figure out something with him. It's hard to watch him when he's, giving up runs like that. It's just not him, man. And he looked so good in spring, too. I mean, it's a totally different game. Totally different animal facing the Dodgers and facing some of these guys he's had to face. But we'll see. So I think these 2 off days can help him in the next 4 days. Get rested up, get home, get back home, get some home cooking, and see if they can get the offense cranked up before they go to New York this weekend. So,
yeah,
as bad as it's been, they're still right there. I mean, they're 2.5 behind the Phillies, and the Phillies have been playing great. The Phillies have got I think I saw a 9-game home winning streak, or maybe more than that. So, speaking of the Marlins, how about them? As bad as they have been, they traded Arcia for prospects to the Padres, and they paid his salary so they could get a better prospect, and they still didn't get a great prospect.
I got nothing on that. I got nothing positive to say about that.
They're terrible, man. They're going to lose 110 games.
Yeah. I mean, you got to give the people something to come to the park for.
Yeah, exactly. So they're in a complete rebuild, starting another rebuild. And I'm like, what are you rebuilding from? I thought they were still building from the other time. Did you just abort the rebuild halfway through and stay starting over again?
It's the greatest business. It's the greatest scam that's ever been pulled, is convincing the fans to be patient and wait 5 years. We're going to be good. And then when it doesn't work, you buy another 5. There's so many teams that have been doing that, and it just disgusts me.
Their fans don't buy it because they
know.
They've seen them, they've seen them win 2 World Series and break up the team. And they're like, wake us up when you're in the playoffs again. We'll come out. So. A bad situation, man. You'd be hearing about them moving, rumors of them moving if it wasn't for that ballpark. But there's no way they can move because the Dade County residents are paying most of that.
Yeah,
paying for most of that ballpark, and they didn't get to vote on it. They got screwed by the city council down there, so they're paying for it. Ain't no way the MLB is moving that team from theirs. Anyway, all right,
you could try.
We'll talk again after the 2-game Boston series. I don't even like calling it a series. It's like what is set. The series, even 2 games?
Yeah.
Anyway, I hate those 2-game series, but
me too.
He'll play 2 against Boston, and we'll talk again. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate it. I know it was a rough weekend. Good thing is not many people were able to watch it with the Valley situation. All right, 7:55 forever. We're out.
Primary Election Day is Tuesday, June 4th. Now is the time to make a plan. Whether you plan to vote absentee by mail, in person at your county auditor's office before Election Day, or at your polling place on June 4th, it's important you take steps now to make your plan at voterready.iowa.gov. Remember, Election Day is Tuesday, June 4th. Find more info at voterready.iowa.gov. This message is presented by the Iowa Secretary of State.